welcome to my channel. My name is Janelle McSwiggan and I'm a nurse medical writer for the past 6 years. I help nurses and other healthcare workers leave the bedside and become successful nurse medical writers. Like, subscribe, and follow for more information. If you need supportive help with this, find my resources at willowbarkwriting.com. Today we're going to be covering what I learned from writing my first article. If you guys have never written an article before, we cover it extensively in my writer's course and in this channel, so keep an eye out on this space. What I learned from writing my first article. It was a huge jump because I had never written professionally before, and the only things I had written, obviously, were from college. Just your basic 5-paragraph essays and just doing a ton of research for that. And I will tell you, blogs are not college written essays. They're totally different. If you've written a college essay, that's awesome, but it really has nothing to do with medical writing. So the first thing I learned from writing my first article was editors will rip your content apart to help you. They will absolutely rip it apart. And it's hard because it's your first article and you're super defensive, right? You'll have it ripped apart in ways that your work typically isn't, right? And nurses are used to bullies. There's a lot of mean nurses out there. There's a lot of people that will tell you that you're doing things wrong, you're not doing it right, and you're a bad nurse. But editors are different. They're not mean, they're not being rude, but they will be nitpicky, and they will go line from line, word for word, and they will just cross things off. They will question your research. They will tell you that you're using the wrong tone, and you will get your content back, and it will be filled with suggestions and, red markings left and right because you didn't follow your directions correctly, or because, frankly, you don't know what you're doing because you're a new baby writer, and that's what happens. I wasn't used to that, and I got really defensive my first time. You are allowed to question the edits of an editor, but you shouldn't do it just because of your pride. You should do it because you think that they might not be editing to the standard of the style guide, but you shouldn't just be doing it because you're like, well, I think that this is actually right. So that was a big blow to my ego, was being able to take edits, and I didn't think it would be absolutely ripped apart because I wrote college essays, right? I, wrote a ton of those. I can totally write. I'm a good writer. No, I was a really bad writer. I was actually a really bad writer for probably a full year, and then I got good. So that's the other thing. Don't freak out if you're a bad writer right away. It's normal. It's just a part of the game. So the second thing I learned from my first article as a medical writer was that your articles will be bad. Like I just said, no one expects you to be perfect for your first job. I don't even go back and read my first deliverables because I know that they are bad. I know that the sentences are either run-ons or filled with therefore or in conclusion, things that just we don't do. And that's okay because I didn't know how to write. So it's super cringy. It's like, have you ever gone back and looked at what you looked like in high school and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I wore that. That's how your first couple of articles will be. And like I said, it was like that for a full year for me. Even now, the first couple of times I'll write a deliverable and I'll go back and I'm like, oh, that wasn't good. Was really bad. So like I said, no one expects you to be perfect right away. So just give yourself grace. And also, don't think that you're the best writer right away. Even if you do think you're the best writer, you're not. Chances are you probably don't know what you're doing, and there's tons of room to grow, so it's a good field for that. The next thing that I learned from writing my first article was you'll need to learn how to do good deep dives into research. And I did not even know what that meant. If you don't either, my writing course goes over how to research, edit, and write, as well as the business aspects. You can find that at willowbarkwriting.com. We'll also do a video specifically on researching, so like, subscribe, or follow. Researching needs to be accurate. The same way that we create care plans or care for our patients, and we need to know, what a medication does with accuracy. We can't chat GPT, all that stuff. We also have to know where to find accurate information for our articles. And I don't think I understood how much researching would take up my time. Researching actually usually takes up more time than writing does. And you really can't write without your research, right? Because everything has to be evidence-based. Everything has to be accurate. Every claim I write has to be based in research, and I also have to cite my source for every single claim. So I can't just say something without it being substantiated, even if I know it's true because I'm a nurse. So anytime I write like a lab value, I have to cite that lab value, that type of thing. So I definitely didn't understand how frequently researching would be, and also how much time I would spend poring over clinical trials or just raw data and numbers. I thought I would just be like writing and hanging out, that type of thing. So research is a very meticulous and very important part of this whole process. And it's something that you'll be expected to do with accuracy. So the next thing I learned from my writing, my first article, was you'll have to dumb your writing way, way down. I was so sad when I learned that you can't use semicolons, that you can't write these gorgeous, beautiful sentences with all these pieces of grammar that piece it together like this beautiful artwork masterpiece. Can't do it. You should pretty much say goodbye to every grammar rule you ever learned in middle school and high school because you won't need them. Nope. They want you to have simple sentences, no dependent clauses, nothing like that. They want you to have the active voice, not the passive voice. Very simple. Any big words? Bye. Any big medical jargon concepts you'll need to break down so that it sounds like you're teaching, a middle schooler, or I like to think of it as my mom who doesn't really know clinical background stuff. I'll have to explain it to her. So that was really heartbreaking for me because I was like, I'm such a smart nurse. I can write these beautiful sentences and, I know such a high level of words. Like, I am so smart. And I had to take all of that ego out of my writing. The writing is not about me. It's about my target audience. And I had to flip that script completely. And I also had to make sure that it was incredibly dumbed down. Like, I mean, simple, like, go dog go, jump fox jump type of writing. But that's what resonates with our audience. And I find that that is the most difficult thing for when I'm mentoring my students, is to shut that super intellectual part of our nursing brain off and get into the mind of our target audience, which is typically always someone who doesn't have a medical degree and that's learning this information for the first time. So that was a really hard one. The other thing I learned about from my first article as a medical writer was the importance of word counts. I never really thought about word counts before. So word count is just how long your article is, how many words are in your article. A lot of it has to do with SEO, search engine optimization, which we cover in my course, but it also has to do with the attention span of your audience. I could read forever about medical conditions. Most people can't. They don't really want to. I had to really stay within a certain parameter for my word count, and I'll have to do that every single time since. It gets really dicey because I can't say everything that I researched. I have to take that big picture out and I have to wrap it up in a bow in a way that is concise. So that might mean using bullets and lists instead of long sentences. It might mean omitting information altogether because it's just not that important to the overall article. The word count really dictates what you can and can't say, and blogs are like never over 1,800 words about that. If they are, you should be getting paid quite a bit. So the word count really does rule all. Word counts are really important too because they help me cut out fluff words and words that don't really matter within the document. So a lot of those, therefore, however's, the words that don't take away from the meaning of the sentence that we can delete, that helps you stay under the word count without taking away that important information. So I guess I was just really surprised that word count was that important because that's a new concept for me. I didn't know that we cared about words or that words dictated anything, but word count will also dictate sometimes how you're paid. You'll get paid X per X amount of words. That's one way that you can get paid. So the word count is incredibly important. Always make sure you're checking that as you go and that you're not rambling on for too long. I would say that your first article is a huge learning curve for anyone. Like I said, no one expects for you to be perfect, and you should give yourself grace with that first article, and you should also be prepared to learn a lot about yourself as a writer as well as the editorial standards of the entire industry. We'll be going over a lot more tips about writing, so make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And if you're interested in remote writing and want to learn more, you can find my resources at willowbarkwriting.com, including the writing course, a comprehensive course for those who are interested in making the switch. Like, subscribe, and follow. Bye!